Yo, Steel Mills, what's the deal, man? Hey, peep game, Brody. I'm hearing a lot of shit that, oh man, Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua ain't going down because he allegedly owes Deontay Wilder $80 million in step-aside money. My thing is this: how the hell does he owe Deontay Wilder 80 mil when neither one of them made that sum in both of the fights they fought in combined? How does that make sense? Where's the logic in that? Why do I owe you more than what either one of us have made in one fight to step aside so me and Joshua can get this undisputed thing going on? Where are they getting these numbers from, man? I mean, this is what I said it once, I say it again, man. The LDBC, the dudes are necessary, man. They're necessary for their their politics. Very pro-black. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. You know, in this day and age, it pays to have people who are primarily for the black people. I've said it. I said that before. I'll continue to say that. However, it's also good to be able to be logical and not escape a sense of reality for the sake of being pro-black. And these dudes are really starting to escape reality. Not even starting, they are. I've been going back and watching a lot of their channels, and a lot of them are just, it's like they're banking and they're kind of hoping that Undisputed falls through, so that puts Deontay Wilder back in the driver's seat with the possible trilogy with Tyson Fury. And granted, on one hand, I'm like, if you don't want to see Undisputed, you're not a boxing fan. On one, that's how I feel. But on the other hand, I get it. You want to see the fighter that you hold in high revere rewarded. You want to see him. You feel he got wooed. You want to see him, rectify or try to rectify things. I get that, man. I real life do. But at this point in time, and my biggest thing is this, man. Fury went on record and said, yeah, you get, like, pretty much, I'm about to fuck you up. He went on the live and did that shit. He made a little short clip about that. I remember that shit happened. He was telling him, you getting it. You are getting it. And then when he started piling more and more on the allegations on and disrespecting his country, and I'm just not gonna fight him again. So he's not ducking this dude. You don't duck a nigga that you fought twice and had intentions on fighting the third time despite the contract expiring. He's not ducking him. He just told him, I'm not gonna fight you again, bro. You disrespectful. If we get in the ring and we run that shit, you still get rewarded for that, even if I crash your ass. I don't want to be the reason you give no more money in your pocket. That's logical. That's logical. Now you could be like, man, I get in there, I'm about to go in here and try and murder your ass, but nonetheless, if you don't murder him, he still reaps the benefits of that fight. So I don't blame him. And a lot of these cats, they're hoping and praying that this fight goes through, or it doesn't go through, so Wilder can possibly, the likelihood of Wilder getting that third match is highly. I think it's goofy, man. I think I get it on one hand, but then another hand, it's like, man, this shit is goofy. Y'all will really hope and pray that Undisputed doesn't happen, just so y'all can, like, come on, man. Like, are you niggas boxing fans? Are y'all fans of the sport? Are y'all fans of the sport? Because this shit is just getting ridiculous how y'all cats operate with shit, man. I'm all for uplifting uplifting our people. I really am, man. But you also have to stay within the realm of logic and reality. You do. Nobody needed to cheat Wilder to beat him. Not no credible top 10 heavyweight, let alone a champion, ex-champion. And where are y'all getting this $80 million from when neither one of them have made that in two of the fights combined? Have they amassed $80 million for a career thus far? Yet he owes him $80 million to step aside? I just think this shit is getting ridiculous, man. I don't know, man. Just, the LDBC is a motherfucker, man. because I want to agree with them. I do. I want to agree with them, and I understand their sentiment, man. But it just gets to a point where it's like, bro, y'all niggas sound crazy as hell, and this add injury to insult. You know, they got the ahki TV. Me personally, I don't need anybody outside of us championing for us. I don't. ahki TV is like the equivalent to the Young Turks to me. Like when I see that shit, when they start speaking on black issues, the minute I see them, if I'm on Facebook, I'll scroll right past the video. That's another thing that we do, man. We're just so browbeaten down as a people, man. We allow anybody and everybody to be able to speak for us. And because of that, motherfuckers because we're so docile in our acts, you know, we want people to be allies or whatever the case may be. So naturally, when you when the Young Turks speak on something, millions of views off rip. Speaking on the same issues of the likes of a John Henry Clark. A lot of you cats, even in the LBC, ain't got a clue who John Henry Clark is. But I've yet to see a John Henry Clark clip go viral. And this is a man who died in 1998. If you're a conscious black man, you're gonna know who a John Henry Clark is, one of our greatest scholars. You're gonna know who he is. I've yet to see a video of his, a snippet from his video go viral. I've yet to see that. I've never seen an Anthony Browder. I've never seen a Claude Anderson really go viral. And if it does go viral, it's gonna get, I don't know, a few hundred thousand shares, likes, if that, maybe 100,000. But if the Young Turks speak on something, you're talking millions of shares and millions of fucking likes. It's real disrespectful and disingenuous when people come and speak on our platform, because we want to hear everybody. We're more comfortable with everybody else speaking on our shit, but we're really uncomfortable with it. Oh, you being true, you being anti-white, and it's just like, this shit is just getting ridiculous. Any and everybody can come into our struggle and be a part of our struggle and champion our struggle and spearhead our struggle. But us, you dig? When we do it, we being too aggressive, we're being too divisive, and all that bullshit. It's real annoying, and it's real disruptive and disrespectful. It's real disrespectful. Anybody can, even, you know, when you watch slave documentaries, they'll have, from back in the 90s and things like that, they'll have maybe three scholars. Not even that, they'll have probably two scholars on a one or two scholars on a documentary speaking on slavery. Speaking on chattel slavery in the antebellum South. Speaking on slavery. Speaking on the Jim Crow South. From an intellectual standpoint, but they'll have a busload of white scholars speaking on behalf of us as if we're intellectually inferior to them and can't articulate our struggle. That's incredibly disrespectful right there. That is, you, regardless if you like it or not, you're the face of the oppressor. You may not be an ideology, but you are the physical representation of the motherfuckers afflicting us with the problems that we have. So it's another way it's an easier pill to swallow if white people are talking about our struggle, or somebody else outside of us is talking about our struggle. It's an easier pill to swallow, as opposed to us making you look in the mirror and do a really self-evaluation on you to check the demons in your closet. That's kind of how I'm feeling about ahki TV, and just really repeating the rhetoric that, you know, that he gets from Dante's Boxing Nation and shit like that. A lot of these cats are knowledgeable dudes on the sport. A lot of them are. I know for a fact Dante's Boxing Nation he's up here in Omaha, because I remember when I went and trained at Bud's gym at Bud and Bomac B&B, he had a representation from representation from his brand there, recording the sparring session, recording the training. So he's a knowledgeable dude in the sport. as well as a 78 Sports. These cats are knowledgeable dudes. I don't know if they have any background in the sport, but as far as journalism is concerned, it's, you know, they know how to piece shit together. They know how to unpack a boxing match. So when you have a dude who's not even a part of us, really just going hard and champion for us and repeating the same talking points, it's kind of like, that shit is corny to me, man. That shit is corny. I don't like it. I don't like it. We don't need anybody representing us that is not us. We don't need that. We don't need that. As hard as you can. Nah, I'm good. I'm cool on it. I've completely gotten turned off to that shit. I've completely gotten turned off to it. And it's just, it's so ridiculously just goofy. And the thing is, you have, like, Canelo, you have an argument with him and Andrade, or Andre. You have that argument. But to say he hasn't fought a black fighter since Floyd or a Lara, he's fought fucking Danny Jacobs. Danny Jacobs is in his weight class at 160. There was no fighter outside of Canelo and Golovkin more accomplished than Danny Jacobs. Why is it that Danny Jacobs isn't being credited as being a credible black opponent that Canelo beat? Because he beat him relatively, I don't want to say easy, but he clearly won that fight. And now that he, you know, now that he wasn't the golden goose to really dethrone Canelo or make it controversial to the point where you could make an argument for him, now it's like, oh well, they got to be undefeated and they got to be this and they got to be that. And Charlo and Andrade are not nearly as accomplished as Danny Jacobs. If Danny Jacobs couldn't beat Canelo, Charlo and Andrade are not going to beat Canelo. I'm not saying that he shouldn't fight him. I'm not saying that. I won't say that because I would like to see those fights. But he's not going to beat them dudes, or them dudes are not going to beat him. They're not. Andre and Charlo does not have the skill set of a Danny Jacobs. They do not. I don't give a fuck what nobody is saying. Nobody. Danny Jacobs can switch it. He can box on the back foot. He can stay in the pocket and give you work. They don't have that skill set. Fast hands, good combination punching. They do not have that skill set. They do not have that skill set. Tight, compact punches. They do not have that skill set. Defense. They do not have that skill set. We can say whatever it is we want to say about Danny Jacobs when he jumped up and fought Gabriel Rosado, but look at the way he moved in the fight. Gabriel Rosado didn't go in there and beat that nigga the fuck up. He was prone to being defensively sound. He had incredible upper body movement that fight. Really sharp upper body movement. Fast, twitchy upper body movement in that fight with Gabriel Rosado. Andre and Charlo do not have that. But because what he had wasn't enough to beat Canelo, now it's room to discredit him. He got a loss. He got 2 losses. He was knocked out once. He's a cancer survivor. Just anything to discredit him, bro. Like, y'all would go, I've said it before, y'all would go so far to discredit Canelo that y'all would throw Jacobs on the chopping block. And this is where the disingenuousness comes from with the nigga like Ahki TV. Don't sit here and when you say, oh, he doesn't fight black fighters, and then disregard Danny Jacobs. It's a Brooklyn nigga. That's as black as it gets. What the fuck are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about? Now Danny Jacobs isn't one of us. He's not African American. I could have sworn before he went into the Canelo fight, everybody was talking about Mexican style. What did he come back and say? This is African style. Proud of his lineage. Proud of his ancestral homeland, his ancestral continental homeland. So how is an Arab gonna come into black issues and try to be a fucking spokesperson for black fighters and not credit Danny Jacobs? How much sense does that make? That shit is asinine. That is, you know, I posted on my Facebook. I posted, you know, Ring IQ Boxing. Is that his name? Yeah, right. Yeah, Ring Boxing IQ, something like that, man. He had the debate with Art, man. I don't know why his proper name in conjunction is slipping me, man. But I just watched him break down the video, and I was like, this is right. He's right. I shouldn't have to agree with what is he, Dominican? Why do I have to agree with the Dominican about? Well, no, it can't even. Ahki's not black, so I feel no type of way about saying this. I agreed with Ring IQ Boxing. I agree with him. Like, you sound ridiculous, and you are trying to champion a struggle that, you know, that is highlighted by our people, and a lot of it is fallacies. A lot of it is fallacies. They've already said Charlo was sent the contract, and his brother admitted it. He won't, for some reason, entertain Demetrius Andrade. I don't know. I don't get it. I personally think Canelo disfigures Demetrius Andrade. I think he should take that fight. It's a good fight. And I think he'll be more confident about taking that fight if he gets through Saunders tomorrow and Plant in September. I think he should take that fight. I do. What I think even more is people who are not black should not be speaking primarily on black shit to the point where it comes off as pandering. Like, don't ride the coattails of a black. I don't like that. Eminem is in my top 5, one of the greatest MCs ever. I've been very critical of him in the past few years. Do not ride the coattails of a black movement to further your brand and fucking promote whatever it is you got going on. We do not need that. We do not need that. As a people, we do not need that, man. We as a people we're on an international spotlight of fighting this beast that we deal with here in North America. We do not need allies. We do not need spokespersons that are not of us. We don't need that. So when you talk about an ahki TV coming on, and once again, when you disregard certain shit, it's always going to come off as demonstrative. I don't think he means any ill will what it is that he's doing, but what he is doing, he's inadvertently discrediting Danny Jacobs. I'm not going for that. Danny Jacobs is one of my favorite fighters. I'm not going for that. I'm not going for that. Danny Jacobs, besides Floyd Mayweather and Lara Golovkin, Danny Jacobs is top 5 opponents that Canelo has faced. I'm not about to let you discredit Danny Jacobs because you want him to fight a Charlo or an Andrade, because since he wasn't able to beat Canelo, now, all right, we're going to disregard all the accomplishments that he has made in the sport and pick up Charlo and Andrade, undefeated fighters in their prime. Undefeated fighters in their prime. You do realize, I want y'all to realize this, Canelo had fought 3 times since Charlo has fought in September of last year. Think about that. He's fought 3 times, and he's a face of the sport in the North American market. He's fought 3 times since Charlo has fought of September of last year. And he knocked off 1 world champion. I think he's about to stop Saunders tomorrow. We gotta wait and see though. We all know what it was with Abney Yildirim. That's why, you know, I said if Deontay Wilder comes back and fights a Carlos Negron, if we understood what the deal was with Abney Yildirim, we gotta understand what it is with Wilder. Despite him being a mandatory, whatever, you know, he shouldn't have never been elevated to being a mandatory. whatever with that. Nonetheless, he's staying active. He's staying active. Got the mandatory out the way. Dethroned Callum Smith. Now Billy Joe Saunders is getting him from is about to fight him. And Billy Joe Saunders has the style that historically has given him headaches. 3 fights since Charlo has fought in September. Like, come on, man. Like, let's stop playing games here, man. Let's stop playing games here. Charlo is good. He really is. He's a good fighter. Charlo is a good fighter. But y'all are gassing this man a little too much. Andre, good fighter, another one. A far better argument for Canelo ducking him than Charlo or any other fighter. But y'all are gassing this man. He didn't fight at all last year. He came back, got in there with a top 10 middleweight. Salute and kudos to you for doing that. What's next? What is next? At this point, y'all have no time to waste. Y'all are older than Canelo. You need to be having somebody in the scope at this moment. And unless Charlo is on the chopping block for you, Charlo is about to, all right, cool, I'll entertain him. But, you know, you can't do, there's nothing else you can say. You cannot afford to wait till December and September and shit to get another fight. Andre could get another fight by August. By July. It's still early May. It's the 7th. He can get that fight in by July. By mid to late July, he can have a fight lined up. Let's get into that. Like, come on, man. This shit is just getting ridiculous, man. This shit is really getting ridiculous with a lot of how you cats operate, man. Everything. I'm gonna use my words carefully. I'm gonna use my words carefully. Anytime blacks dominate in any area, I don't give a fuck if it's economics. I don't give a fuck if it's politics. Socially, we on top. Due to hip hop, it always gets colonized, and it gets colonized, and you know we're not the ones running the operation. There's so many moving parts when it comes to us. We're always herded in here and going here, you know. So we're easier to manipulate and we're easier to manipulate. You know what I'm saying? We're easier to manipulate, and y'all get what I'm saying. I can't even really put into context what it is that I'm trying to say. So I won't discredit it. I think you should always keep an eye out for white supremacy. You should always do that. You should always be cognizant of the powers that be that work against your favor. You should always be that. You should always be on your toes. When you here in North America, especially, you always need to be on your toes. And this is a sport where we wasn't even at once upon a time able to compete in. Now we're a dominating factor in it. So it's always going to be somebody trying to somewhat muddy the waters for us. Most definitely that is the case. However, with Canelo, that's not the case. You have an argument with Andrade. You do. You do. Anybody else, you don't. And I refuse to let an Arab come in here and inadvertently discredit Danny Jacobs to deteriorate Canelo Alvarez's accomplishment in the sport. I'm not allowing that. Just fall back, man. Fall back. You know, this isn't your lane, man. This is not your lane. You shouldn't even be. Nah, bro. This is not your lane. Stay over there, bro. Stay over there. Don't come over here trying to be a spokesperson on our behalf. Because whether you like it or not, you're being really disingenuous and you know, dishonest. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I do not like that at all. We don't need the extras. We got enough brothers causing confusion right now. With the Wilder debacle and, going out of their way to shit on Terrence Crawford, our hometown champion. We got enough brothers doing that. We got enough of them. Enough brothers. We don't need no Arabs doing that. We don't need nobody who is not of our same genetic stock doing that. We don't need it, man. We don't. We can do without it. We can do without it. We really can. So, no disrespect. No disrespect to Ahki. But man, just fall back, man. If you're not even gonna be try to be truthful in it, then you're really doing it this. And the fact that Negroes go to his channel, and I just be looking at cats like, y'all dudes is really y'all some different type niggas. Y'all about to go to this man's channel for real? As he spews some goofy shit, the shit he's saying is goofy. That is goofy. Dude isn't goofy with this shit that he's saying. NBF, no black fighters, or what? Like, come on, man. That's just. Oh. No, and not to mention he's already put Charlo in the scope. He's already put Charlo in the scope. He has to go. I just think this shit is ridiculous. He has to go through Charlo and Andre to be perceived as greater than what he is now, even though he's beaten far better talents than those two. I just think it's ridiculous, man. I do. I honestly do. Like, I'll say you got a point with Andre. You do. I'll give you that. You got a point with Andre. I won't argue that. You got a point with Andre. You didn't have Andre. But Charlo, just no. You don't. I'm still hearing people say, oh, he ducking Plant and ducking Benavidez, as if Caleb Plant isn't in the scope if he gets past Saunders tomorrow, man. That's what I'm talking about, the pandering, man. People just come up with just shit in their head and they just run with it. It's illogical as it is. They will add names to the pot, throw his name in the bag, or throw his name in the hat, throw all these random names in the hat. After a while, they're going to start saying he ducking Ronald Ellis. And Jalen Love, they're going to start doing that. And Darrell, they're going to do that. He's ducking Bivol and Better Biev, even though he's not campaigning up there. Like, man, eventually we have to get to a point where it's like, alright, yo, this shit sound crazy as a motherfucker, man. Let me chill, bro. Let me chill. Let me chill. Now, I wasn't a fan of, the champ saying that shit, because I'm just like, that's not true. It's not true. It's dishonest. It's dishonest. Unless you're talking about Andrade, once again, where you have a point. But y'all keep bringing up these two fighters. One was in the contract. And Andrade, his brother already went on air and he went on live and aired him out about it. I don't like how it's so much money and prestige and black misery. The minute you attach black on to whatever it is you're doing, you get a wider scope, put on you. And that's another thing that I hate, why people who are not black. The minute you attach black, oh man, black, all your content is dealing with black people, you get a wider scope put on you. You get, oh man, yo, let's invite him to the barbecue. He down, he ain't racist, he one of us. Another YouTuber, the Rubia Garcia chick, white girl, nice looking white lady. but all of her content was issues regarding black life in black America. And she was able, you know, she got a lot of followers and a lot of dudes who was, you know what I'm saying, just super dick riding. And when she got challenged by China Fox, shout out to China Fox, I listen to you. I love your analysis. But when she got challenged by her, she reverted back to them white tears, man. She reverted back to it. Everything that she preached about in all of her previous videos was contradicted by the shit that she was saying when she got challenged by China Fox. I don't like that shit. It's so much benefit in black misery by non-black people. The minute you start speaking on black issues and you're not even of our people, it's like you get more accolades. You get more traffic to your, to your platform. You get invited to speak at places. You get invited to different panels. You infiltrate black spaces because people who are, who don't know no better, but you start infiltrating black spaces because you are a non-black person speaking on black issues. So black people have been so browbeaten that the minute we see that, we just want to pat on the head from white mommy, white daddy. We want to pat on the head from master. We want to pat on the head from master's wife. We just completely lower our guard and allow everybody to seep in with the bullshit. Once that happens, the problem is our movement is no longer our movement. It's no longer about us. It's no longer about us. Black Lives Matter, no longer about us. No longer about black people. Black people black men in particular can't even speak at the fucking events that they throw, the little meetings that they have, the town hall meetings that they have. Black, straight, heterosexual men, masculine men, proud, unapologetic black masculine men can't even speak on these platforms because it's no longer about black men, even though y'all made a career off of black men being brutally killed at the hands of these police. No longer about black men. No more. Now it's about patriarchy, destroying patriarchy and feminism and misogyny. And the minute you allow people who aren't, to step into our spaces, who are not a part of us, it's no longer ours to dictate. And that's the same thing with these boxers. That's the same thing with a cat like ahki TV. You're not black, man. Just play it down the middle. Just play it down the middle. Your content does not have to be 100% black. It doesn't. Because it's going to come off as disingenuous. It's going to come off as pandering. That shit is whack. We do not need any non-black spokespersons. We do not need that. We don't need it. And that would include you, homie. Like, I think you're a knowledgeable dude on the sport. But you're on top. We do not need you to, oh man, no black fighters, no black fighters, no black, because you're coming up under the tutelage of a black man. No. Fuck. I stepped into black consciousness because of my white guy in Minneapolis. He was the one who really started lacing me with game. I wouldn't bring him into certain spaces. I wouldn't do that. I look like a fool as a black man taking him to a motherfucking Kwanzaa event if he was up here. I look like a fool. I look like a fool if I took him to one of the meetings these Muslim, one of my Islamic brothers had up here. They would look at me like, what the fuck is wrong with you? It's not to disparage him, but you have to respect black spaces. You have to respect black spaces. You have to understand that once you become part of a black movement, historically, because we want your approval, we want you to see us as the godlike people that we are, and just dope individuals that will allow you to do whatever it is that if you're uncomfortable. We don't even speak the way we speak around other motherfuckers. We walk on eggshells. We don't talk that wild shit in the, behind closed doors. But when this motherfucker come in here, we walking on eggshells because we don't want to offend him. Even though the shit that may offend him may be some shit that's 150% on the up and up. We don't need non-black people in non-black spaces, man. So we don't need an ahki TV speaking on black issues. Just because you're coming up under the tutelage of a black man, like that doesn't get, no, bro. If something is so egregious, all right, cool, but now you can speak on it. You ain't gonna get my support, cause I don't look for good white people or good Latino people, even though my wife is Latina. Good Arab people. I don't look for that. I don't need your approval. You dig? I don't need it. You dig? I need all the information that I need. I can get from my people. I know where to go to get. I know where I need to go to be nourished intellectually about what it is that we dealing with. I know where to go. So I don't look for good white folks, good minorities and that aren't. I don't look for that shit. I don't give a fuck about none of that shit. I don't need it. I don't need it. You can have that. You can have that. I don't need that. And that's not no shot at, that's not no shot at no non-black person. It's non-black people that I fuck with. And a rumble with if you run up on them, you run up on me. But this is politics, man. This is social issues. And even on a boxing level, it's politics that's involved in that. And it's social issues that are involved in that. So I don't need that shit. I don't need no non-black motherfucker telling me the fuck going on with black people. I do not need it. And I turn it off. I turn it off. The minute I'm turned off to it. Nah, I'm cool. I don't want to hear that shit from you. I don't want to hear that shit from you. Not in this capacity. Everything you talk about is black this, black this, black this, black this. You dig what I'm saying? How come you ain't talking about Israel Monster? I don't know how to pronounce his name, or even if he's even. I don't know if y'all part, from the same country, but Avni Yerdrum. You dig? How come I never heard you say anything about him and the Chris Eubank Jr. fight? Maybe you did speak on it. I don't follow your channel, but I don't know, man. Just at the end of the day, man, just let the black people talk about black people problems. I'm a proponent of that. Let the black people talk about black people problems. Ring Boxing IQ hit that nail right on the head. Let the black people talk about black people problems. Not no dumbass Cardi B shit, because that bitch ain't black neither. Black people, not distant lineage and distant African ancestry that you may have swimming in your genetics. Black people. You know a black person when you see one. The same black people that you're speaking for on behalf, let them be the ones to address the issues, whether they right or wrong. Peace.